Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtiki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bharevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3, Chapter 15. We are on text 22. We have been hearing the beautiful, beautiful narration of Vaikuntha Lok. Brahmaji is describing the scene when the four Kumaras were there. So we are getting a picture, a glimpse of the spiritual world. Vapishu vidruma tatasva amala mritapsu prashena prashyan vita nichavane tulasi bhir isham abhyacharati swakalam unasam ikshyavatram uchchesitam bhagavateti matanga yakshrihi. The goddess of fortune worshipped the Lord in their own gardens by offering tulsi leaves on the coral-paved banks of transcendental reservoirs of water. While offering worship to the Lord, they can see on the water the reflection of their beautiful faces with raised noses, and it appears that they have become more beautiful because of the Lord's kissing their faces. Generally, when a woman is kissed by her husband, her face becomes more beautiful. In Vaikuntha also, although the goddess of fortune is naturally as beautiful as can be imagined, she nevertheless awaits the kissing of the Lord to make her face more beautiful. The beautiful face of the goddess of fortune appears in ponds of transcendental crystal water when she worships the Lord with tulsi leaves in her garden. So Lakshmi Devi is worshipping the Lord of Vaikuntha, Narayan. And then she's offering him tulsi leaves, and in her garden, she's offering tulsi leaves to his lotus feet, and he's kissing her, and she's becoming more beautiful. So in one of the earlier purports of Bhagavatam, so we can see that because there is kissing in the Lord, that's why we also have this in the material world. But the only thing is that in the spiritual world, it's not lust. There is no lust. In the material world, it's only lust. But in the spiritual world, it is transcendental, spiritual. It is beyond this lust. It's just love. So there is no sex as such as we have here in the material world, because that's based on lust. But there is this affection shared between the Lord and his consorts. So then it's clearly in one of the purports of Bhagavatam, it is said that because the impersonalists, they deny that the Lord has the form, they're not able to understand. And that's the reason in the material world, this sex is becoming more and more degraded, because we are not able to understand that everything is coming from the Lord. How can we have something that God doesn't have? It's just that we have it here in the perverted way, because the material world is a perverted reflection, and everything exists in its pure state in the spiritual world. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yanna vrajanti aghabido racha nanuvadak Shrinvanti ye anya vishaya kukatha mati kanihi yastu shruta hata bhagirnibir atasaras tamstan shipanti asharaneshu tamhasu hanta. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. The most unfortunate persons are the impersonalists, who cannot understand the transcendental variegatedness of the spiritual world. They are afraid to talk about the beauty of the Vaikuntha planets because they think that variegatedness must be material. Such impersonalists think that the spiritual world is completely void, or in other words, that there is no variegatedness. This mentality is described here as kukatha, matiganihi, intelligence bewildered by unworthy words. So Brahmaji is saying that people who are unable to speak about the Vaikuntha planets, speak about the spiritual world, they're really unfortunate. It's a very regrettable condition, because we have been given in this facility in this human form of life, to be able to speak about the Vaikuntha planets. We can't do that if we are as a tree or as any other animal or a bird, But in the human form of life, we can hear about Vaikuntha, we can speak about Vaikuntha. But if we are not doing that, then we are considered very unfortunate. And it is considered a regrettable situation. Why? Because we are going to hear and speak. That is a natural tendency. So if we are not hearing about Vaikuntha, what are we hearing about? If we are not speaking about Vaikuntha, what are we speaking about? Then what happens? So we are not speaking about Vaikuntha, we are not getting attracted, a desire to go back home, desire to be liberated in the true sense, the true actual liberation. Now, the mukti that everybody is saying, it should be here, going to this Vaikuntha planets. That is the true liberation. But if we don't hear about it, we don't speak to it, we will not know about it. Then what will happen? Then we'll continue to remain here in this material world. We continue to live in this material world. So how can the impersonalist and the void philosopher think of this material world, which is full of variegatedness, and then they say there is no variegatedness in the spiritual world? It is said that this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So unless there is variegatedness in the spiritual world, how can there be temporary variegatedness in the material world? That one can transcend this material world does not imply that there is no transcendental variegatedness. So because there are some philosophers or some school of thought or some idea that some people have, that the spiritual world is empty. It's empty, there's nothing there. But here we can see that the material world is not empty. There is living entities everywhere in different species. There is trees, there is the sky, there is the mountains, there is the birds, there is the human beings. So there's so much variety. And where is this variety coming from? It has to come from the spiritual world. Why? Because this material world is just a reflection. So if I stand near the mirror, whatever clothes I'm wearing, I will be able to see that in the reflection. It's not just going to automatically come in the reflection. So this variegatedness, this variety is there in the spiritual world, and that's the reason it is here in the material world. And we were hearing yesterday from Sri Isopanisad the invocation, which says the complete whole must have everything. Otherwise, it's not complete. So the absolute truth, because he's the complete whole, he has everything. So if we say that, oh, the absolute truth does not have a form, absolute truth is God. And if we say he doesn't have a form, then that means we have something that he doesn't have. Then it makes no sense. Then how is he the absolute truth? He has to have a form because he is complete and whole, and everything and everyone belongs to him. So we can see how the scriptures, how they complement each other. You know, as we are reading one to another, it gives us a deeper understanding of the absolute truth. Here in the Bhagavatam, in this verse particularly, it is stressed that people who try to discuss and understand the real spiritual nature of the spiritual sky and the Vaikunthas are fortunate. So Brahmaji is saying, now, so we are fortunate here. We are trying to understand, we are hearing the topics. So means hearing and chanting Bhagavatam is really a great fortune. It's our great fortune. We are able to do that. And Brahmaji is saying, who are not doing it, that's really unfortunate. So we must try to make others also unfortunate, attract everyone to hear and speak from the Bhagavatam, to read the Bhagavatam. Connect more and more people to the Bhagavatam so everyone can become fortunate. The variegatedness of the Vaikuntha planets is described in relation to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But instead of trying to understand the spiritual abode and the spiritual activities of the Lord, people are more interested in politics and economic developments. They hold many conventions, meetings, and discussions to solve the problems of this worldly situation, where they can remain for only a few years, but they are not interested in understanding the spiritual situation of the Vaikuntha world. If they are at all fortunate, they become interested in going back home, back to Godhead. But unless they understand the spiritual world, they rot in this material darkness continuously. So we all are talking and we are all hearing. It's a very natural propensity in us to hear and to speak. And then we will always want to hear, oh, what did this one do? What did that one do? Where did he or she go? Or what was said in this meeting? We all have that natural inquiry. But why do we have it? Why do we have it? So that we can hear and speak about the Lord. Why do we have the ears? We heard before when we were reading how one sense is made in the universal form. We have given this ear so we can hear about the Lord. We are given the tongue so we can speak about the Lord, but we misuse it and hear and speak about not of the Supreme Lord or about the spiritual world, but about very temporary topics which will have no meaning once we give up the body. You know, once we give up the body, all the material things that we are speaking about, it has no meaning, no matter how important it is. So does it mean that, oh, I'm going to artificially try to do that? No, we can't artificially do it. You know, try to connect everything to Krishna. Try to connect everything to Krishna. Then it's easy. Fix the mind on Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. We heard yesterday, the complete whole, everything belongs to him. So if we come to that understanding, yes, everything belongs to Krishna. So everything and everyone is connected to Krishna. There is no one or nothing that does not belong to Krishna. So the more we hear and chant, the more we have to come to this understanding. So there is no one, no any human being or demigod or animal or tree or bird or this one or that one or a voidist or a devotee or impersonalist or there's so many different designations. But everyone belongs to Krishna. Everyone. And then whichever planet we go to, the Patal, hellish planets, Atal, Sutal, or we go to Swarglok, or we go to Janalok, Tapalok, Brahmalok. Everything belongs to Krishna. Now this was just the material world. Let's go into the spiritual world. All the Vaikuntha planets, everything belongs to Krishna. The Brahma Jyoti, the light which is coming, belongs to Krishna. Then the light is his feature. It is the light coming from his body. Then the Paramatma, he's the Paramatma in every one part. That's his feature. So we can see there is nothing or no one that's not connected to Krishna or does not belong to Krishna. Is that okay?
Yes, like how in the Bhagavad Gita it says, no, the example of the tree. So in the material world, it's the reflection of the tree.
Yes,
right?
That's right. Yes,
The roots are up, right?
Yes,
in the material world.
Yes, that's right.
I remember a very beautiful thing that you also say, and I've heard from a lot of other devotees, that everything is either Krishna or Krishna's.
Yes.
Right? There is nothing else except that.
Yes. Yes. That's what we have to keep reminding ourselves. It's Krishna or Krishna's. That's it. Yeah. Like we heard yesterday from even in the Isopanisad, the invocation. Everything is in the complete whole. That complete whole is Krishna. So everyone belongs to Krishna. So we belong to Krishna also. Everyone. That's why we have to respect everyone, everything. Because everyone and everything belongs to Krishna. There's nothing or no one that does not belong to Krishna. Reading on, 24. Ye abhyarthitam apicha no nirgatim prapanna jnanam cha tattva vishayam saha dharmam yatra naradhanam bhagavato vitaranti amushya samohita vittattaya batamayayate. Lord Brahma said, my dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire to have such life. For in the human form, one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of external nature. Brahmaji condemns very vehemently the condition of the human being who does not take interest in the personality of Godhead and his transcendental abode, Vaikuntha. So Brahmaji also wants to become a human being. He's saying we also desire. Why? Because he wants to understand the Supreme Lord. He wants to sing the glories of the Supreme Lord and the glories of Vaikuntha. The human form of life is desired even by Brahmaji. Brahma and other demigods have much better material bodies than human beings. Yet, the demigods, including Brahma, nevertheless desire to attain the human form of life because It is specifically meant for the living entity who can attain transcendental knowledge and religious perfection. It is not possible to go back to Godhead in one life, but in the human form, one should at least understand the goal of life and begin Krishna consciousness. It is said that the human form is a great boon because it is the most suitable boat for crossing over the nation's ocean. The spiritual master is considered to be the most able captain in that boat, and the information from the scriptures is the favorable wind for floating over the ocean of nations. So why the human form of life is stressed so much that even the demigods want to be born as human beings? Why? Because they want to understand Krishna. They want to understand the absolute truth in total and also engage in pure devotional service, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Hearing and chanting. So then that's the reason human form is called a boat for suitable boat for crossing this whole material world, this nations. The whole material world is called nations, ignorance. But in human form of life, one can easily cross it. Now, how? With the help of the spiritual master. The spiritual master, he is the captain in that boat. He's the captain. So means we follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Where is this spiritual master speaking from? If he's just speaking out of his own mind, mental speculation, then we will just be here in the material world. But he's speaking from the scriptures. He's speaking from the scriptures, because the scriptures, the Vedas, we are hearing from Isopanisad. How? The original Vedas, then Bhagavatam, they're all systematically given to us to be able to cross over this material world. So that's the favorable wind. The human being who does not take advantage of these facilities in this life is committing suicide. Wow, isn't that a very strong statement? The human being who does not take advantage of all these facilities in this life is committing suicide. So we can see practically the human society right now practically is rushing towards death, right? Bhagavatam is saying committing suicide. Why? Because it's in this form that we can try to understand our true position, revive our loving relationship with Krishna. Therefore, one who does not begin Krishna consciousness in the human form of life loses his life to the influence of the illusory energy. Brahma regrets the situation of such a human being. So Brahmaji is compassionate. Yeah, he is a pure devotee. He's very compassionate. And so he's saying that these human beings, they've gotten this facility, but they're not using it. So he's feeling regret about this. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is actually the goal of human life, to understand our position, to revive our loving relationship with Krishna. That is the goal of this human life. We make many other goals. That's okay. You know, we are inside the material body right now. That's okay. We have this goal, that goal. Well, that is all right. But the real goal is to re-establish our loving relationship with Krishna. That's the real goal of human form of life. So now we said demigods want to become human. They want to have the human form. So then we know there's 8,400,000 species of life, right? 8,400,000. All the scriptures say that. So which form is that? Then what about the demigods? Where do they fit in?
$400,000.
I'm sorry?
Are they in the 400,000?
That's right. They're also in that 400,000 species of human beings. They also in that category. But because their consciousness is more highly developed, they have more qualifications. That's why they are in that position of a demigod. There's a great responsibility. And these demigods are personally chosen by Krishna.
So why would they want to become like human beings when they have a higher position and they can, engage more in loving service for Krishna?
Yeah, because they want to engage in pure loving, pure devotional service. Because the devotional service, which the demigods are performing, is mixed devotional service. Have some material desires also.
Mm-hmm.
So because the desire to manage, to control is there. That's why they are in that position. Although they are very qualified, very, very qualified. That's the reason they are put in these responsible positions. Imagine if the sun god was not qualified and he would say, okay, today I'm sleeping in, I'm not going to wake up. So all of us are going to be like, what happened? So they are very qualified, but they also have the desire to manage, to control to that degree. So they want to engage in pure bhakti. As Lord Caitanya came to give us, now that we are reading in Caitanya Caritamrta, that Krishna came to give his Braj Prem, they want to get that. They don't have that. And right now, being in this, at this time, having a human form is we have the opportunity to get this Braj Prem, and they want that. Braj Prem. They're also hearing and chanting over there in the demigods also. There also the bhaktas are there. They are doing Hari Katha there. They are doing Harinam there. We were speaking about this in our class last week, in our Bhakti Vaibhav class, because we are speaking the descriptions, the prayers of the demigods. So our teacher was saying, it's not that there is no Hari Katha going on. No, they are also doing their bhajan over there, hearing and chanting the Lord's names and glories. So then the same question was raised, then why do they want to come here? Because they want to get this pure devotion, that, this pure love for Krishna, which Krishna came to give specifically at this time, which is very rare for.
And I remember you also mentioned once that whenever even Brahmaji, whenever he has a question for Krishna, then he never goes and just visits directly to him. He is saying a prayer and they meet him at the causal ocean, right? They don't just go and visit.
Yeah, well, not at the causal ocean, but
not at the causal ocean, yeah, but they cannot just visit anytime they want.
The sheer ocean.
The sheer ocean,
ocean
yes.
of milk.
Yes.
The ocean
yes.
of milk.
But not every time they cannot just go and visit. They just say a prayer and then.
Yeah.
So I think they also want the association.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That's why the human life is so precious.
Yeah, because, it's true. Yes, thank you. Yes, they can't see Krishna whenever they like. And Krishna as he is, who they can approach is Lord Vishnu, the Shirodakshay Vishnu. And that's the reason when Devki, she had Krishna in her womb, the demigods were all coming. Oh, we want to see Krishna. We want to see Krishna. They all came that time to see Krishna. And even when Lord Chaitanya came, when he appeared, then Sachi Mata could see all these, like she was wondering what's happening, because the demigods wanted to come and see him. They don't get a chance, as you rightly pointed out. Yes, thank you. They don't get the chance.
Yeah, they don't. And that's why you said that gopis are considered the biggest devotees, because they had the association, right?
Yes, they have that
association. That's why they're always praised and always considered so highly.
Yeah, and because their love for Krishna, their love for Krishna is to that degree that they love him with full, even their bodies they give up to Krishna. as you like, my dear Krishna, as you like.
Yeah.
So they are the highest. Their love, the sweetness of their love for Krishna cannot be matched by any other, by no one else.
Yeah, no form of life.
Yeah, that sweetness of that love that they have for Krishna. And so Krishna also has that love for the gopis. It's all about loving relationship, all about that. How much love.
Right.
And that Krishna came to give us this love. And now he gave us this Hare Krishna mantra to revive our love with.
Yeah. And I still remember one more very, very important thing you said, that when we chant, that means we are in the ras with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right?
Yes.
Whenever
yes, this
we
is
chant, and
yeah.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this benediction to all the a
Yes.
chance to involve in the ras. If we are chanting and hearing Hare Krishna Mahamant, that means that we are in the ras with him.
Yes, this is Lord Chaitanya's Ras Leela, the Sankirtana movement.
Yeah.
Hearing and chanting about Krishna. Yes, this is Lord Chaitanya's Ras Leela. So if we want to engage in this Ras Leela, we want to feel the bliss of the Ras Leela. Because you see, we are lusty, right? So immediately when we hear of Ras Leela, we're like, oh, Krishna with so many girlfriends. That's because of our lust. Our minds are so perverted. But this is Lord Chaitanya's Ras Leela, the bliss the devotees experience in Sankirtan, hearing and chanting about the glories of the Lord. And so Lord Chaitanya wants the whole world to be engaged in this. He wants the whole world to experience this bliss. So that's why he's like, Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna Upadesh, engage everyone in this hearing and chanting and let them experience, let them also be engaged in this Ras Leela of the Sankirtana movement. So thank you so much for all your presence, your participation. Thank you. We'll stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.